as we look down on the People's Republic of China capital here, Beijing. I'm Phil Liggett and welcome along again. It's now day 3 of the 4th year of the Tour of Beijing. And after yesterday's slightly disrupted stage, which was shortened by some 36 kilometers, we have a new leader in the race, in Philippe Gilbert of Team BMC, the Belgian rider, just nudging ahead by 5 seconds in the overall classification, ahead of giants Janse van Rensburg of South Africa. Well, we'll be joining live action very shortly today as we have a quick spin around this beautiful area. We're north-northwest, as always, of Beijing for the stages. We'll finish in the city itself on the final day, which is on Tuesday, and we'll get our visions too of the Great Wall as we make our journey back towards the city. Today the ride is starting away from Yanqing, where we should have finished yesterday, but in fact we ended the day some 36 kilometers short on the last climb of the day. And that sprint up the hill was won by Philippe Gilbert. His reward was the red jersey of race leadership. And today I can tell you also that we do have a breakaway underway as we head out now on what is the longest stage of the race. This is the area which is hoping in the year 2022 to host the Winter Olympiads here. And as we now get down onto the road, this was the race yesterday. Dan Martin there getting prepared for the finish. Philippe Gilbert stalking the pack. The riders themselves approaching the race organisation yesterday to say that the air quality was not good enough for a competitive event, and the organisers concurred, and they reduced the race distance by some 36 kilometres. As a result, what should have been an en passant third category climb towards the finish in Yanqing became the finishing line right on the summit, and the race coming up towards the summit here was a battle of a mixture of sprinters and climbers, because this race being won in the past by just a handful of seconds, and there was a 10-second win bonus now on top of this climb. Big effort there by Esteban Chavez on the front of Team Orica Green Edge. In the white and black jersey there was Reinhard Janse van Rensburg, and it looked as though he'd done enough as the road would turn in his favour, but over the top of him, a specialist at this sort of finish, Philippe Gilbert, snatches the bonus on the line, gets the victory, and as a result now heads up this race by 5 seconds over Janse van Rensburg, 7 over the last year's World Road Champion and who finished 4th in this race last year, Rui Costa, and in 5th place, best young rider, Jesus Herrada. In 4th place rather overall. There's the situation of the stage result. Rui da Costa finishing 3rd, Sergei Chernetsky of the Katusha team in 4th. Dan Martin missed out on the bonuses but crossed the line in 5th place, remained very much the favourite. On the ride then down to the actual finishing line in Yanqing, the selfie there being taken by the Namibian professional Dan Craven. Even Philippe Gilbert now happy with the victory behind him, heading down towards the official finishing line where the prize presentation would be held. And this was the scene on the finish. It should have been a day for the sprinters. It turned out to be a day for the strong men. A little bit of a mock sprint here. Gilbert getting his 2nd victory of the day. And so the overall situation now, Reinhard Janse van Rensburg in 2nd place, looking for a good result here, the South African rider. Rui Costa in 3rd, Jesus Herrada in the white jersey, his best young rider, is 4th. Peter Seri in 5th place overall. And 6th place, Michael Charel. So the red jersey on the shoulders now of Philippe Gilbert as we look towards day 3 of this race. The longest of the race at 176 kilometers. The riders overnighting on the finish line yesterday in Yanqing, and now heading first south and then north as they stay well clear of Beijing for a race in the mountains here, most beautiful area of northern China. stretching right back to the Jurassic years, and in fact there is a huge footprint of a dinosaur from those years which has been preserved forever. Not very far from the finish today. The riders signing in, expecting a big battle amongst the riders today, because today and tomorrow are the two hilly stages of this race. The man that leads by tomorrow evening should be the winner overall after the last stage in the center of Beijing, because there's no further challengers down in Beijing. And the route itself today, not quite the same as last year, where it was won by the sprinter Nasabuani, and the addition of one extra climb might make the difference today. Gilbert signing in and heading off for his red leader's jersey. Dan Martin, second overall last year, lost by 10 seconds, and tomorrow on the climb is where he lost his main time last year. He'll be looking for better probably tomorrow. Chavez signing in as well, also riding high in the overall classification. Today will be our first real indicator as to who is up for the long-term battle for victory in this final World Tour event of the season. And indeed, and sadly, the last Tour of Beijing, the 4-year contract coming to an end with this event. Rory Sutherland of Australia just signing in, and all smiles. This is Moreno Hofland. They've been waiting for him to triumph in the sprints, but he lost his chance yesterday when they altered the finish to an uphill. Graham Brown also lining up there for the Belkin team. This is the man who got second place yesterday and he's second overall now, Reini Janssen van Rensburg. Stages in the Grand Tours. But the best young rider now, Kaylin. And the best young rider in the white jersey there, Jesus Harada, telling last year's winner where to sign in number 1. Amazingly losing 18 minutes on the first day of this race. And poor old Daya Quintana having trouble reaching the top, so his teammate picks him up to sign him in. And I can tell you, when we join the action, you're going to find that young man in the breakaway today. There are currently 6 riders clear. So no complaints about the air purity today. Blue skies peeping through at the start in the Yanqing as the riders roll away. And in fact, the winds that appeared through the night and some slight rain in the area as well has cleared the air, and it is a beautiful day. A little bit chilly, but nonetheless a perfect day for the bike race, and they're going to go out into the countryside without the snow, I can tell you. But of course this is a region which gets excellent snow for skiing for around about 150 days a year, and those snows are not that far away. It's also a haven for wildlife, wetlands, swamps, many lakes, 25 rivers course through here. The conditions, they make the best use of solar power in the region as well, and we're approximately 2.5 hours drive away from the center of Beijing. And yet, would you believe, many of the Chinese living in Beijing have never been here. Just on the top of the hill behind us, these are the sights down in Beijing itself. We have the Chao Yang Temple, which goes back to the 14th century, a mixture of Jing culture, and a long walk if you want to climb up and have a look, which everybody has done before the race assembled this morning up on the mountain from the official side, because the riders are some, as the crow flies, some 80 kilometers away from the finishing line, 176 the way they're coming towards us. So the beautiful autumn skies now giving way to a little bit of a chill as winter approaches. Fishing is very popular here. They say the fish here are so pure that it's very, very healthy to eat all the fish you can catch. And we might get a little view of the temple. I don't think so. It's just above the finish line. I'm sure we'll see it when we arrive with the finish in about 2 hours' time. There's still 2 of the climbs left to come before the finish line. As we get down to see the riders in the action, I'll just go through them for you now. 6 riders getting away today, about 24 kilometers. This was earlier in the day, and they're on the climb, which in fact they've just passed over at the moment. There's the names going through the screen for you. I'll tell you, Daya Quintana, the younger brother of Nero Quintana in the break. Julien Berard of Team AG2R, number 92 there, is Julien Alaphilippe. He was in the breakaway yesterday, but he was so close to the leaders overall, the breakaway asked him to drop back to the peloton simply because he was an attraction to the chase. And so he obliged them by falling back. But this is a much more serious move today. Pierre-Henri Le Cuisinier is here in the blue jersey of FDJ. And on the front, and significantly so, Mikel Golash, the Polish rider in Omega Pharma Quickstep. And it's Golash who has had a marvellous day out today. He's won every climb so far, and so he's now a clear leader in the King of the Mountains competition. Overnight leader Van der Stant, who said last night on our television here he hoped to get in the breakaway, didn't make the break, which came just after the first sprint of the day, just after the first climb of the day, 24 kilometers in. Ji Zheng of China on the front as always, the breakaway spoiler as we call him, now driving on the front. And is that a wave of hello or goodbye? It's at the back of the peloton. That's the latest time gap we've got, 4:12, and that's about as big as we've had throughout. 64 kilometers still to go. Stunning scenery throughout the day now for the riders. The roads are in excellent condition, and I've been told that they've actually been resurfaced for this race, the Tour of Beijing, so that's a legacy for the region because the roads are absolutely superb. The autumn tints down there, looking very, very beautiful indeed today. There was some concern that the riders might worry about the weather closing in, but miraculously last night all of the smog blew away. And let's hope it stays like that for the next 3 days now before the race ends on Tuesday. There's still a lot of racing to be done today, but this is a very interesting break. This is not the sort of let's see how it goes break we often refer to as the early morning breakaway. This is a breakaway which could alter the overall classification if they don't chase it down. Because one rider in here, Julien Alaphilippe, is only 11 seconds off the race lead. Dia Quintana 49 seconds off the lead, and Julien Berard exactly 1 minute. So they're dangerous riders now in that breakaway, and Omega Pharma Quickstep have got two men in that breakaway. Julien Alaphilippe and Mikel Golash. Golash now has the polka dot jersey tomorrow. The remaining points available on this stage can't take it away from him, so he'll be the second leader in that competition. Tosh van der Sant, who rode pretty well on this stage last year. In fact, he finished 7th on this stage last year, but riding a different race this year. And this is back in the main field at the moment. The oldest man in the race just checking on his wetwear, Pablo Lastras. No rain forecast today. One of the oldest men in the race, Karsten Kroon, the Dutchman on Tinkoff Saxo. When this race began, he said it was his last race of his career. Well, since he started racing it, the rumours started as well. He's considering maybe racing one more season. He certainly is showing he can still turn a nifty pedal at 37 years of age. He's in the breakaway. He's lost 19 3/4 minutes so far, but that's okay. Most of that was on the first day in the big split that happened, which cost Benya in Southsea, last year's winner, his hopes for this year. Also TJ Van Garderen. They were the two big names to be left behind by 18 minutes on the first day of this race. I'll see plenty of water in this region, believe me. 25 rivers course through the districts here. But the chase is having a little bit of an effect now, down to 3 minutes and 55 seconds. Second category climb is still ahead of the riders, and to try and break up a day for the sprinters, there's a small climb just before the finish. The route very slightly different to the route we took last year, when the sprinters did actually get to the finish together, and it was Nasser Bouhanni who took out the sprint. He's not here this year. And the other change, by the way, today is Tyler Farrow, the Garmin Sharp rider, the American rider. He came out early fighting after 17 kilometers and won the first sprint of the day at Qianjiadian, getting a 3-second time bonus, but that wasn't what he was after. He was after the 5 points for the green jersey, and that has now given him the outright lead in the points competition, taking the jersey away from Philippe Gilbert. But of course, more points for that competition at the end today. Can all change again. There's Carsten Kroon on the far side in yellow, riding his last race for the team from Denmark, Tinkoff Saxo. Golash riding through. He's had a terrific day. First over every climb so far. We've had 5 of the 7 climbs. He's won them all. The break went on the first climb, and he was first over the top with his teammate Alaphilippe and Daya Quintana, and on the way down they kept going, and they were joined by the other 3 on the descent, making 6 up front. Gilbert having a chat with his team captain, TJ Van Garderen. And Van Garderen be a useful ally now to help Gilbert try and win this team for Team BMC, because after all, Van Garderen hopes went on day 1. And the workhorse of Team BMC, it's up to them now to try and bring this breakaway back. Plenty of time to do it, 60 kilometers still to go. This is at the back of the race here. Julian. Oh no, this is the breakaway, and this is Berard. Looks as though he's been dropped by the group here, Julien Berard. And we'll just be ahead of the car. I don't think he fell back to the team car. I think he's actually lost the contact here with this group. Berard overall, one of the men that will be wanted by the peloton, only 1 minute behind overall, the 27-year-old. He's only had the one team throughout his career, which began in 2010, Team AG Tour La Mondiale. He's never won a race as a pro, but he's a very strong bike rider. And he's been here once before to the Tour of Beijing when we had the inaugural event back in 2011, but it was an ambitious undertaking, and we didn't come into the mountains in that first event. They started to appear in the second year. Well, it looks like he was just looking for his team car. He's got what he wanted, and he's back up. Blue helmets down there too of Garmin Sharp are keeping close order with Team BMC. An absolute indication that Dan Martin is going to be very alert today towards the finish, just in case something happens. We're approaching the start of the second category climb of the day now, the penultimate climb of the day. The points no longer quite so important. The Golash is going to keep on trying to build though, because tomorrow we've got 6 more categorized climbs, with a first category climb to the finishing line tomorrow. Same climb above Mento Go that we used last year, and it certainly decided the race. It was a real battle amongst those that could, and that was where Benyar and Tausti won the day. Took the win bonus and also got a timed gap of 3 seconds over Dan Martin. Well, we'll keep seeing a little bit of industry here, but virtually none. As there you can see Berard now taking his place again in the line here. Dancing up behind him is Golash. Been a very good move this, particularly by Omega Pharma Quickstep, the 2 riders in the black colours here. A break of 6, and they've got 2 men in it They were clearly looking for the move today. Alaphilippe could give them a perfect day out here if they stay away, because he would take the race lead, and his teammate has already taken the King of the Mountains lead. Been a good year for Michael Golash, the Polish rider. It's been a good year for Poland, let's face it, in the world of cycling, with the world champion, first Polish winner of the King of the Mountains, and double stage winner there as well. So for Golash, he also completed in his first Tour de France, finishing 55th in Paris. Only 4 riders out of the race, so all going on the first day. Nobody notified so far today. At the back of that bunch, though, they're under a little bit of pressure now, because the chase has got to start at this point. There's still quite a big gap, and they're not chasing down riders who are just hoping to steal the stage. They're chasing down riders who are hoping to win the race, and that's a big difference. The climbs here are not quite the same as in the Tour de France. They're not steep, but they are hairpinny. The smooth, steady slopes of around about between 7–8%, shallowing down. Very quick climbs and extremely good road surfaces. Descents are sweepers, and the riders can really chase off the top of the climbs as well, at speeds of 80–90 kilometers an hour. There's Carsten Kroon, 37 years of age now. Actually, I think he's had his birthday, so he'll be 38 years of age now, Carsten Kroon. 12 wins throughout a career. Never really recovered from a bad crash he had in the Tour of Qatar at the start of last season. It kept him out of racing for about 3 months, and hasn't really come back. Takes a bit longer to recover, I think, when you're getting that little bit older. He's the 3rd or 4th, 5th oldest rider in the race, Carsten Kroon. He's had some great performances in a career, but he's also had quite a few problems with accidents and sickness. This young man here is a 2nd or 3rd youngest rider in the race, Quintana, and in his first season as a professional, he's not wasted any time by distinguishing himself. Had a stage victory in the Tour of Austria, his only win of the season, and seems to be warming nicely. Rides on the same team as his brother, who isn't here, of course, Nairo Quintana. 3 minutes 18. It's coming down very steadily, but coming down quite regular now. 54 kilometers are still to go. They've got a little bit of help at Team BMC, indicating we're going to go head to head with Philippe Gilbert and Dan Martin. If not today, tomorrow. They're the 2 top teams now who set their sights on winning this race in 2 days' time. Katusha in the red, also showing good form yesterday. They've got a man to support in the overall now in Sergei Chernetsky. He's up to 7th. These 6 riders, all of them, since they came together on the descent of the first climb of the day, seem to have been showing the pace pretty well. And they've kept up a pretty good average speed today. Quintana going through. That was the rider we saw at the start of our program, being lifted up by his teammates because he couldn't reach his name, which was at the top of the board. No problems for the Colombian in the hills existing today and tomorrow, that's for sure. He's chosen this breakaway to try and get himself up into the action. Overall, he started the day only 49 seconds off the race lead. But it's not a hilltop finish today. In fact, it is a sprinter's finish, but you've got to get over the hills to get to the sprint. It's a sharp right turn and a perfectly straight 500 meters to the line. You can see the banner. Very difficult to judge as you run up from the corner. Just looking down here from the helicopter, just how quickly this peloton is moving at the moment. The gap is another 15 seconds lopped up in no time at all here. Looking at 3 minutes and 3 now. Well, we should have seen the second category climb. I think the riders are on the lower slopes here. The leaders must be either at the top or just flipped over the top. We'll just see what comes our way in a moment. We're looking for the top of the Changmi-gu climb. And these are the leaders driving on. Still Quintana we've caught at the front again, followed by Alaphilippe, then Carsten Kroon. Le Cuisinier, Golash, and then Berard, the order there. There's a sign there saying slow down in English. I don't think that's going to happen. They're indicating there the climb and then the very, very quick descent. Well, the racing conditions for the riders, one has to say, as good as anywhere in the world here. The way they've closed down these roads, the way they secure the finishes. Incredibly good organisation. And when you consider the amount of vehicles that Beijing has to contend with, it is a remarkable achievement to run a bicycle race downtown at all. Well, for the moment, it's the old story, out of sight. Might discourage the chase because there's a lot of twists and turns today. There's no long straight roads. They're always on the roller coaster ride in this scenic area. Its flora and fauna protected, as well as its minerals and its geographical situation here. Number 91 there, being forced to take a back seat at the moment. Rigoberto Urán. There's two teammates up in the breakaway. There he is. A rider who has distinguished himself in the last 2 years in the Tour of Italy, where he's finished twice second overall. This year he managed to pick up the 12th day individual time trial. He led the race for 4 days in the pink jersey. First time that he has ever done that. In fact, this year the Giro d'Italia was never led by an Italian cyclist. It set something of a record. Urán himself also a Colombian cyclist. Not on the same team though as his countryman Quintana up front. Well, let's just take you through the results so far today. This is the first sprint after 17 kilometres. Tyler Farrar winning this, and that 5 points moving him into the lead now on the road in the green jersey competition. Beat Daniel Impey there too, who for my money is a man we could look forward to possibly be a challenger to win this race overall. Then we went on to the climbs, and the first 3 men over the top are in the breakaway now, and the breakaway formed over the top of this climb. Golash, Alaphilippe and Quintana. From the bunch came Vyacheslav Kuznetsov, but he didn't make the breakaway. That was at 23 kilometers in. See if we can show you any more there. As the peloton's down below at 41 kilometers, Golash again, this time ahead of Le Cuisinier, Kroon and Alaphilippe, and the breakaway was now moving clear of the field, and Golash was on a mission, because again, King of the Mountain number 3, there he was again, getting the 5 points, this time ahead of Kroon, Alaphilippe and Julien Bérard. And it was to be the same again at King of the Mountains number 4, 67 kilometers, ahead of Le Cuisinier, Alaphilippe, Bérard and Kroon on this occasion. And that's, I don't think, the end of the climb. I think there might be one more. And don't forget, you can join the conversation on Twitter, hashtag TOB2014, 2014. So at the moment then, Golash has moved himself into a very clear lead. There's not enough points left on the day now. He's got the King of the Mountain jersey. This is Betancourt here, another Colombian cyclist who also looks forward to the hills. But since his great victory in Paris-Nice at the start of the year, he's the first Colombian to do that. He hasn't actually done a great deal. I think he's getting tired as the season has gone on. He's only a young man. Now, a sign there warning of the sharp descent. Maybe that's what the signboard earlier was also warning the riders of. But these descents are not normally dangerous from what we've seen of them. They're very, very good bends, good corners, very fast. Lose height quite quickly. The high spot in the region here is one of the local mountains, takes us up to 2,400 meters. Second highest climb in this part of China, but it's not a road, so the riders are spared that ascent. .8 kilometers to go. Now we top out on the second category climb at 43, so these undulations are not quite onto the slopes of the climb yet, but the gap is at 2:38. It's going to be pretty close the time we get up this second category climb, with the peloton just behind, I would suspect. For the third day out of 3 possibilities, we've got a rider in the blue there from Française des Jeux. They've had 2 good days so far, with Laurent Magel yesterday and Jeremy Roy on the first day, both being granted the Most Aggressive Riders Award. And this time around it is Pierre-Henri Le Cuisinier trying for the prize at least. Well, as the peloton courses through the most beautiful part of China here, not far from the start of the Inner Mongolia plain here, so we can expect cold weather to start to move in very shortly. At the moment it's around about 14-15 degrees Celsius. In the mornings it's pretty chilly before dawn. Dawn comes around about 7:30. Looks like you've got 3 riders in trouble at the back of the peloton on the climb as well. Giant Shimano holding pace at the front again now. Nice to see Reinhard Janssen von Rensburg moving up in the second place. He didn't quite hold off Philippe Gilbert for the sprint yesterday. But also their man, Warren Barguil, still in a very good position to deliver a good result at the moment in this race. Well, there's the 6 leaders. Our helicopter right over the top of them, and the way he's spinning around, maybe he's going to see if we can see behind, because you've got 5, 6 boys at the front. It's almost as if a helicopter can hear me. He's now going to show us if there's any sight of the peloton. Straight down. Well, there you get a lovely, lovely view of the road. And as you can see, it's a long, steady drag now. And there on the lower slope is the peloton. Still a bit of road between them. Stunning pictures. Beautiful autumn tints. Major, major happening here. Two minutes 15. Well, they've taken a couple of minutes off since we came on air, which really means that in about 30 minutes they've knocked off 2 minutes of that lead, and we're still 46 kilometers from the finish. Everybody look out for Panda Corner, which isn't very far away. I'm told there's a lot of pandas standing on it. This all started a year ago when the pandas started following Dan Martin around, and since then his team Garmin Sharp have become big supporters of the WWF, the World Wildlife Fund, I'm delighted to say. And now the pandas apparently are massed in force here to say thanks. So we'll watch out for that. It's the next climb, I believe, where we'll see them. Quintana. Well, I'm just hearing, not very clearly from the race, that the gap is now coming down to 1:25, if what I've heard is correct. So that really is coming down quickly now. Giant Shimano on the front. Never far away, the red and black jersey of Team BMC of Philippe Gilbert. The red jersey doesn't stand out in the race because of the red jerseys of his own Team BMC and the red jerseys of the Lotto Belisol team. So it's quite difficult to pick out the race leader. Katusha are paying pretty much attention. This is a long, steady drag now, which finishes with the top of the climb itself. Top of the climb is at 43 kilometers to go, so haven't seen any signs. We're working purely on guessing here, but we should see the top of the climb around 43 kilometers to go, which would put the leaders pretty close to the summit right now. Well, we're saying 1:38. .138 confirmed at the moment as the gap, but no doubt it's come down very, very quickly here, and with only 44 kilometers to race, that can't possibly be enough for that breakaway, but you never know if there's hesitation on the run off the hills. There is another small climb, only third category, before we run down to the actual finish. There's the peloton just on the other side of the hillock there. Quintana at home in his playground, the man from Colombia, once the road starts to go up. This was the couple of days of racing he wants to enjoy. Made no hesitation in moving clear when he got the first chance. Le Cuisinier on the far side. Quintana anxious to keep the pressure on here. And Golash, of course, there we are. It is 1 kilometer to the summit now, and Golash looking for a completion of every first place so far today. 7 climbs today, he's won 5 and Judging by his acceleration, he's out looking for number 6. It won't have sewn up the competition, but it's gone an awful long way to sewing it up. Tomorrow is the last day in the mountains. There are 6 climbs, including the finishing climb, which is a first category climb tomorrow, up to the finishing line. But this is going to be a great result for Goulash if he can confirm himself as the winner tomorrow in the King of the Mountains. He's been the national champion of his country back in 2012, but to my knowledge he's never won a King of the Mountains title. Still riding very strongly this breakaway. Alaphilippe just taking a drink at the back. He won't challenge his teammate, of course. He's thinking and rather hoping this breakaway goes all the way to the finish, because he'd be the next obvious leader. Here come the pandas. Plenty of them there. As they started the sprint, so they'll have to concentrate here. Goulash is building up from the back. It looks though Carsten Kroon was just taking him on there as well, as we're looking at Alaphilippe. But the move's certainly coming. Kroon on the wheel of Goulash. Goulash looking for the finishing line of the sprint. Now moving on over the top of Pierre-Henri Le Cuisinier. Not a lot of point in these boys attacking Goulash at this stage of the race now, because he's built up his overall lead and there's not a lot to gain by chasing him down. Certainly been an acceleration in the line though, that's for sure. I'm not going to let him ride away though, because that's how he slipped away on the first mountain. Carsten Kroon tracking him down. Carsten Kroon doing enough to move up into the top 3 in this competition today as well. And there it is. Goulash, Kroon and his teammate Alaphilippe. Well, what a great day he's had. And in 4th place would be Quintana. And well, they started to push it out again. 1:55 now. The peloton has slowed down a little bit on this climb. Heading up to 2 minutes again. There's only one small climb left. We're on a steady drag through the mountains here on good roads. But they'll stay out of sight for a while with nearly 2 minutes, and then there's this small little hill before we run down towards the finish, and then the sharp right-hand turn. The last climb, by the way, tops out 11 kilometers from the finishing line, which will be a very fast 11 kilometers as well. Dan Martin just off to the right of our picture, just tucking in behind, looks like rider Hejidal. This is Barry Marcus here of Belkin. Looks as though he's under pressure, holding on to the skirt tails of that peloton just at the moment as they come up towards the top of the climb as well. No prizes there, just a matter of trying to keep the pressure on, cause a reaction from the field. He's done well, Barry Marcus. He's over the top. Now he can take a deep breath and recover on the way down. Now let's have a look at some high speed descending here. Whoa, Berard taking that one a bit wide. Got a better line this time around. We're all going to get dizzy now as our camera follows them. Berard trying to keep Carsten Kroon, who's had some bad crashes going down mountains throughout his career. Carsten Kroon may have affected him a little bit. Now 38 years of age, you start thinking of your future when you're not a professional cyclist. Quintana leading the charge. What a terrible crash his brother had in the Tour of Spain, going downhill in the time trial. This year, there's the long, long line now being drawn out. And our camera bike being caught out there by the one rider coming clear of the field just there from Giant Shimano. I think it was Forlinger, the German member of Team Giant Shimano there, who was descending quite quickly. Concertina back together again now. Still Golash, the new king of the mountains tonight, still anxious to get on. Only one climb remains and he'll have won all 7 today. And as tomorrow's likely to be a crossing of swords of the men who want to win this race, chances are he's already built his lead good enough to win the competition, because the men who want to win this race, like Dan Martin, for example, aren't scoring in the mountains yet, and he has a huge gap over them. Well, the way these boys are coming down this hill here, hitting speeds of 55, 60, 65 kilometers an hour, they're certainly not allowing this breakaway too much opportunity, bunch rather, too much opportunity to close the gap on the descents. 6 riders should be able to go down that little bit quicker than the main field, heading into the last 40 kilometers today. The last climb pops up 11 from the finish. We do have a green jersey sprint in Long Wang Miao at 30 kilometers from the finish, but that's not of great importance to anybody in this lead group. There are not too many roads, as you may have gathered from my helicopter shots here in this region, but it's stunningly beautiful countryside. One of the smallest men in the race there, tucked in behind Karsten Kroon. Heavier men going down quicker than him. A racing delight for the great descenders, this road, for sure. Well, we're going to be clocking a kilometre every 45 seconds at the moment, which is going to make a very rapid approach. Here is the former king of the mountains now, Tosh van der Sande, 7th on this stage a year ago, which has been slightly changed towards the end to try and break it up for the sprinters. So he knows the finish just about as well as anybody else in this race, Tosh van der Sande. It's quite a long descent here, long sweepers before we start the grind uphill again. So it'll take us up to the 3rd category climb via the sprint point, which is now about 8 kilometers ahead. Green jersey down there is being worn by Tyler Farrar. It was on loan from Philippe Gilbert at the start of the day, but for the moment he's won enough points along the way to keep it for himself tonight. but it's really going to depend very much on the order of finish. If he is able to survive and sprint it out at the finish today, as happened last year, then he's going to get points, and that's going to give him an interesting overall situation with 2 days to go. He says goodbye to the Garmin Sharp this year after a long career with them, the sprinter. He's won stages of the big races around the world, the Grand Tours, and he's moving on to MTN Quebec for the twilight of his season. But he wants to leave a team which has really been his home for a long time on a high note. So he really wants that green jersey of points. Tyler Farrar does. He started riding with Team Garmin Sharp back in 2008 when he left Team Cofidis to join them. If I remember rightly, it was called Garmin Chipotle in 2008. Bit of a sharp left here, nicely barriered. The drop off the top if it wasn't. Nice international breakaway, this one as well, with the French, Colombian riders here, Polish, Dutch, all combining as friends on rival teams, except two are on the same team. And it's only on a course like this where you see spectacular pictures like that. A real switchback there for the peloton. Just look at the length of that peloton from nose to tail. There must be 45 seconds apart between the front and the back of the peloton. Well, it looks to me as though Golash has decided to push on here. Whether it's just his descending skills that's done that, but they're going to have to repair the damage sooner or later. He's waiting for them. He out-descended them, that's for sure. A little bit of habitation here. We're still 5 kilometers, slightly less, 4.5 kilometers from the sprint point at Long Wang Miao. Golash just anxious to get on with the race here. He wants the boys to stay with him, but he wants to keep this pace full on, nurturing a hope that he can still deliver his teammate Julian Alaphilippe into the red jersey by the finish of the day. He doesn't need to be ahead by much because he's got a 10-second win bonus on the line and he's only 11 seconds behind overall. So even if the peloton's in the same straight, he could still be in red tonight. I had no updates for a while, but it was creeping up again to just under 2 minutes. And because these riders on the other side of the mountain from the finish line, it's very difficult to make contact with them just now. Berard rather, looking very cool and calm there. 34 kilometers to go, and that's only 21.5 miles to the finish. Sounds a lot closer, doesn't it, than 34 kilometers. Two riders to service in the breakaway. The spinning water bottles again, never a good idea. Off the smooth tarmac, slab concrete now. So we get down to the level of this little dam here. Beautiful Yanqing. I don't think anybody could deny that. This is all part of the Yanqing County and the playground of the people from Beijing for sure. Seeped in history as well. It's the other side of the Great Wall, if you like. The Great Wall sort of drops down the middle here, forms the natural barrier into Beijing over the history gone by. Minute 34, so they've lost 25 seconds on that descent, despite some good descending by that breakaway. A little bit of change of direction now, which means we're going to start the climbing up again. This is the peloton. Giant Shimano, oddly enough, the team that's driving the race. So they're obviously thinking if they can get a sprint finish here, they've got the sprinter in Mechik who won the first day to try and make it another stage win for him. We've also got a double-headed attack because they've got Reinhard Janssen van Rensburg now in second place. And he's a good sprinter, and if he can use his strength and grab a small time bonus, he's got to be considered a contender going into the last 2 days. Ideally suited for BMC is for these 6 riders for the moment to be very close to being caught, but actually to possibly contest the sprint without the peloton. That pack is being driven on by Giant Shimano at a terrific pace now. I'm just wondering where the rest of the riders are, because there's a car behind that. Are we looking at a split here in the field after that descent? And if, well, there's the split, because they've cracked on the descent here. This is a back group. (32.5 kilometers), and this group losing ground on the way down and are racing hard to get back. They should get back, but we are going to start climbing pretty soon again. It's a long, steady drag as well that finishes with a 3rd category summit before we then begin our run in to the finish. 32 kilometers to go. So it's a Team Europe car, pretty much the whole team caught out there as they race back up to the line. Got one teammate on the back, wondering where his friends have gone. And they're coming back. BMC now controlling, putting a man in the chase as well. Oh, Giant Shimano. So we get another little view of the Beijing picture gallery here. All natural autumn tints. In the summer, the wildflowers abound, so too the swamplands. The bird watching is excellent. 75 seconds. Continues to come down. 31.5 kilometers to go. Peloton repairing itself for the moment. Desperate moments there, I would think. This is the sprint point coming up. And as I say, there's no, apart from the small prizes on the line, there's no real gain here. There would be, though, if Alaphilippe has a go, because he gets a 3-second time bonus. He's 11 behind. He's got to go for it, and that's him, number 92. 3 seconds could make all the difference later in the race, maybe tomorrow. So he's on the wheel of Charlie Berard, now that's a name from the past. This is Jean-Pierre-Henri Berard here. I'm not sure whether, in fact, it might be Charlie's son. This is last year's winner. Lost 18 minutes on day 1 and demoted now to being the carrier for the team of the spare water bottles. He can manage a few more apparently. .30 kilometers to go. I don't know how close those leaders are to the sprint finish, but they can't be. They must have gone through, and these have gone through pretty close behind at the moment. We'll have to wait for that sprint result. Well, to me, that gap was inside a minute for the peloton, which has regrouped after that chase. And we're back up with the leaders now. And really having to put a lot of work in now is Michael Golash. He would love to just get this last climb of the day, but he's still 18 kilometers from the top for this last climb, and there's the confirmation. They're inside 1 minute. Be unlucky, but I don't think they'll stay away before the top of this climb now. But the way they're riding, they're certainly determined to try and do something about this. We'll have to catch up with that sprint result when we get it from the race, but I would have thought that number 92 there, Alaphilippe, would have gone for that 3-second time bonus. Becoming a very, very good young rider here, but he's on a great team. Omega Pharma and Quick Step have had another superb season. He's got his one win this year. He came over from a small Continental Pro outfit to join them this year, and he finished fourth and won a stage of the Tour de l'Ain, where he also won the Best Young Rider competition because he's only 22 years of age. Still the big teams, candidates for final victory. Today's a big day for them, which they know. BMC, Giant Shimano, Garmin Sharp, Lamprey also beginning to show in the distance there in those pink sleeves on their racing colours, and Katusha in the red and white. Belkin playing a more quiet role, but watching all the moves in those lime green colours. And even at the back. Phil Digenan just passing through camera there, the Irishman on Team Sky. Well, signs of a long, hot summer, although in this part of the world the temperatures stay fairly cool. Really getting above 21, 22 Celsius in the summer, so it's an area where, from the heat of Beijing, a lot of people like to come up here to the lovely, cool, pure air of the Yanqing County and the mountains here. Cold winters, coolish summers is the order of the day. A lot of riders there being pulled along, not showing a lot of interest in assisting, waiting to see how it works out. As we drop in, this is Steven Kruijswijk here. Hasn't made any mistakes yet. And a likely candidate for a, let's say, a top 10 finish by the end of this race. Another few seconds chipped off. 27 kilometers to go. Still an outside chance that they may get to the top of this last climb. 16 kilometers to the summit. And looks so Dai Quintana here, seeing there's too many people leaving gaps, he's trying to liven affairs up by pushing forward. He wants more action. They're losing their enthusiasm, I think. Golash isn't, of course. He'll be wanted at the prize presentation for the King of the Mountains jersey. And they need shaking out. They might be slipping into a little bit of lethargy now because they know the peloton is coming. And they're caught now between wasting all of their energy and finishing alone, or saving a little bit and maybe coming home in the main field. Tosh van der Sande there, probably being told by his teammates, that is Stig Brooks, the 22-year-old from Belgium, that he's lost the lead in that polka dot jersey today. The worst scenario possible. when Golash got clear and won every climb so far. One to come. Well, the people around here, they're completely self-sufficient. They grow all their own crops, their vegetables. They have small holdings. They grow, produce their own meat, chickens, cows, etc. And many of them will have never been to Beijing, which is about 2.5 hours away. Well, that's the confirmation of the last climb we saw, with Golash getting in ahead of Kruen, Alaphilippe, Quintana and Le Cuisinier. Only 5 score points. And at the sprint results, well, Quintana got the 3 seconds, Berard and Le Cuisinier, so Alaphilippe didn't bother. Golash in 4th. Well, I really thought he should have taken advantage. 3 seconds can make all the difference. Just a reminder about, you can join the conversation going on Twitter, hashtag TOB2014. Sort of locking in now at that point where somebody is waiting for the final push. Looks like lavender growing down there, the left hand patch. Plenty of flowers being produced. Now, as we left the peloton to the right and sweep up the road, there they are. And they might well be in the sight of the peloton now. "24 kilometers, 15 miles from the finish." Approximately 40 minutes of racing. It doesn't look possible now for them to hold them off for that long. And there's an awful lot of riders in that back group, and even though they've added this extra little climb to try and break up the sprinters may have tamed the hills, and it could well be a sprint finish today, which will put Tyler Farrer back in the possibilities of increasing his lead in the green jersey competition. Philippe Gilbert, though he likes the uphill finishes where he won yesterday, can pack quite a sprint finish when it's important to him. And of course we always have Luka Mecic, the man who won the opening stage. So it could be a very interesting sprint finish this, and still become a battle of seconds going into the big stage tomorrow, which is the only mountaintop finish. All of these riders still sharing the pace, nobody a passenger, still willing to keep it going, particularly young Quintana here. He really is an aggressive bike rider, first year professional, not afraid of riding with the competition either. Uh-oh, that's not a good sign. That might tell us why he never went for the 3-second bonus, because that's Alaphilippe. It looks as though he's struggling a bit just now. 22 years of age, 3 wins in his career, which really only got underway last year. Well, all of those cars following down the peloton are going to get a good view of the breakaway as well, I would think now. Only 49 seconds. 2 men from Team BMC, the team of Philippe Gilbert, pulling the breakaway. And could well be saving the day. But with a 10-second win bonus, there's still room for a reshuffle in the red jersey competition. Remember, overall, Van Rensburg is only 5 seconds off the red jersey. Rui Costa's only 7, and then there's about 12-15 riders sitting 11 seconds back. So those small bonuses at the finish could still decide the next leader of the race, once they've caught these 6, of course. Well, he wasn't kidding, was he, when he shook his head? Alaphilippe dropped off the group. Yesterday, he got into the move yesterday very early on, but he was only a few seconds off the race lead, whereas the 3 riders with him were 18 minutes behind, and they asked him to drop back to the race. And he did just that. This time was much more serious. Tried to go the distance here. But he's hit the wall and he's going to drop back. And I think he might have a problem in the pursuing chase now of hanging on to the peloton. Been a good attempt though. Second-year pro. Had a good win this year. Stage of the Tour de l'Ain in France, where he won the points competition as well as the best young rider competition at the end. Finished 4th overall in that race. Well, all of the vehicles behind the breakaway here be pulled out now, so as to reduce the attraction of a bridge. This is Carsten Kroon. As we go back here, there's last year's winner again in Tausti. Dan Martin off to the right, the 1-2 of last year, riding together. Split by 10 seconds at the end of the racing last year. Dan Martin this year, now he's got some 20 minutes overall on in Tausti, thinking that he might have got rid of his rival, and so logically, will he be the next winner of this race? "10 kilometers to the top of the last climb of the day." The last rider in the black and white stripes is Reinhard von Flensburg, who got second yesterday and now sits second overall in this race. He'll also be leaving the team at the end of the year, so he is actually seemingly wanting to go out on a high. No wins for Reinhard this year. Started off well enough, he could finish 6th overall in the race in Malaysia, Tour of Langkawi. Mikel Golash, powerhouse of a man, Polish champion a couple of years ago. Only 5 of them left in the breakaway now. Nine kilometers to the top of the climb. Will he hang on to make it a nap hand on the mountains today? Dario Quintana there is really working hard. The youngster on the Movistar team. There's the 20 kilometers to go. Oh, we're almost with we're exactly with it now. Well done on our computer. These boys have never eased up, even though they know they're coming. They really put some power behind this breakaway. Well, I think the race is telling me it's just 40 seconds the gap. Interesting rock formations here which go back to the Jurassic era. Incredible shapes. Dan Craven on the right, just tucked into the tail of the peloton, looks like with the whole team around him down there from Europcar. Well, it looks as though Giant Shimano got themselves a big interest in the result today, and they've got 3 candidates here at the moment to work with. Warren Barguil, although he's unlikely to take part in the sprint for them, Reini Janse van Rensburg and Luca Mesjes, who's had 2 stage wins now And a handful of riders who've done that over the 4-year history of this event. "40 seconds it is, confirmed. 5 men left. And as we're looking at 40, I can hear the race referee telling the riders they've got 30. So they are coming quickly now. And it's going to happen before the top of the climb because they're still 7 kilometers from the summit. Just steady drags, and it kicks a little bit towards the end where the King of the Mountains point will be fought out, and then it's more or less downhill to a plateau, and then a flat finish with a sharp right-hand turn and 500 dead straight meters to the line. And we'll be in the shadow of the beautiful temple up on the hill here, the Chao Yang Temple, which is very heavily protected here and has been actually rebuilt as early as the late 1900s as well. "33. Giant Shimano shaking it out, taking over the leadership role away from Team BMC. TJ Van Garderen, here is camera there. Philippe Gilbert tucked in on his wheel. He's in the all red jersey as race leader. No black shoulder stripes for him. But it's not going to be long now before we get the catch, is it? 26 seconds, they're just around the corner there. Quintana here just checking over. He knows they're coming. How much more effort will he do before he decides save a little bit for the last 17 kilometers? We're 6 kilometers from the last climb of the day, summit. So Golash pushes on, but look over the shoulder, the bikes are appearing. The riders are going to be through those trees very, very shortly. And they know the pack here now with Tom Decker in the long hair just at the back. It looked to me as though Quintana stopped working in that breakaway now, so put a lot of energy into that. And they've got 5 riders up there now from Giant Shimano. 2 possible winners in the sprint, and there's the 5 leaders. Well, that's about 15 seconds. Golash will not give up here. All for 5 points. That's all that is on the top of the climb ahead. And he's had a brilliant day out. He's won 40 points today in the King of the Mountains. He may not pick up the last 5, but it's giving him pretty close to an unassailable lead with only 1 day in that competition remaining. Oh, second win for Quintana. Peloton now have lined up their gun sights. They've got them right where they want them at 15.8. 12 seconds the gap. We might make a little bit of a meal of closing down the last few seconds. 15 kilometers to the finish. And that's about 4 kilometers to the last climb of the day summit. Carsten Kroon still wants the race to continue at the front here. Kroon also has an interest in this last King of the Mountains. It would probably move him up into second place in the competition. Well, this time Kroon looks over his shoulder and sees the pack right there. It's going to lead to a pretty quick final run-in once they bring these riders back. Quintana said, no, that's too much for me. So too does Le Cuisinier. He's going back. First time in 3 days we've not had a blue jersey. Last to be caught in the breakaway. Been a very long breakaway. They went away 24 kilometers into the day of 176. So about 130 kilometers in the lead for the break today, which was 25 kilometers further than the whole stage yesterday. Now Golash just wants to hang on, and he's got about 2 and a bit kilometers to the summit. There's always a chance they ease back now when they can see the quarry. Let them play it out up front, and as he knows it, if they can keep going, there's just a chance he will survive to the summit, take the final points. Belkin showing a big interest today on the far right here, and they will be thinking of Hofland, Moreno Hofland, the sprinter. And Graham Brown will be the man to look out for him in that final sprint. Ideally, you need 2 riders in front of your sprinter on that last bend, because it's 500 meters from the line, dead straight. And the Movistar now launching an attack from the pack. We've only got the 2 leaders now, and a counter-attack which is going to bridge that gap very, very quickly. 3 leaders, still got 3. Carsten Kroon is the rider in yellow. 2 riders coming across, 2 fresh pairs of legs. There might be a reaction from Lotto Belisol as well coming across the gap. 2 men there. This is a very quick reshuffling here, and Adam Hansen just pushes on the right. As the breakaway is caught. And this is Adam Hansen. Well, he pulled a trick like this in the Vuelta a España, and he stayed away to the finish, and that might be why he's inspired himself to do the same again this time around. And he's got the gap. Hansen, the man who's ridden the last 10 Grand Tours, which is absolutely incredible. In those 10 tours alone, he's raced over 35,000 kilometers. This is a terrific move by Adam, and could have been expected here. 1 kilometre to the summit. That's how close Golash came. Hansen's not interested though in the points here. He's trying to ride away. It might be a difficult order for him here, but once over the top, he's a very, very good time trialist, and there's a gap open there. There's a little bit of panic behind right now. Jussi Väikönen was the rider there in the white jersey, the champion of Finland, but he seems to have disappeared now. This looks like Silvestre coming up. Hansen may have a fresh pair of legs reaching him, and he's looked over his shoulder. He won't have seen the third rider on the road from Amiga. Hansen now putting in the push for the summit, but it's really not these points he wants. He wants the bonus at the end of the race, and of course the victory, much more important for him. Pretty sure this is Silvestre who's joined him from Trek. Fabio Silvestre is now, can Adam Hansen, he's gritting his teeth there, trying to hang on. Rory Sutherland is the big man in yellow. He's also going to give it a little bit of a turn, the man that's changing teams this year. He's 100 metres from the summit. The other two are over the top, just about. Silvestre gets it. Oh, it's not. It's the other small rider. They're saying it's Julian Arredondo who has come forward here on the same team as Silvestre. So Arredondo, Adam Hansen. Now it's going to be desperate moments as they start to race down towards the finish. They've got just on 11 kilometres to go. Last time Adam Hansen did this trick, it was in September in the Tour of Spain, and it resulted with victory. It was on a Friday, and it was stage 19 of the Vuelta. Steadily downhill now, away from the mountains, and then the flat finish. Incredible ambitious move to try and hold off the race at this stage, and in fact it's not going to happen. Race rejoins. .10 kilometres left to ride. The red jersey still being kept in a perfect position here of Philippe Gilbert. The other sprinters now will know that it's going to be a day for the sprint as well. And all of a sudden, those small time bonuses, 10 seconds for the winner, 6 and 4, have become very, very important once again. The introduction of a slightly tougher course has not clipped the wings of the sprinters today. And that crucial right-hander into the home straight here, you've got to be in the first 6 or 7 around that bend. It's such a tight bend, they're going to go in a straight line. It won't be a packed corner. Maybe just a little bit of a risk being taken here to try and crack them on the way down as well. Still the peloton looking right down. The gaps are not really there at the moment. I don't think this is Nicholas Mace. I think it might be Julian Vermont who's on the attack from Amiga Pharma Quickstep. Just sitting on the back Ian Boswell, who's been the American pacemaker for Team Sky over these last couple of days, but sitting at the back today. These boys are going to hit big speed down here now. These are very fast roads to descend on, running right down the valley. And there's a split forming here because of the speed of this descent. There's an obvious gap of a couple of seconds now, and there's still a bit of a way to go on the way downhill here. We'll continue all the way down into the tree line. Then the right turn will come. .6. The peloton is under extreme pressure here on this long descent. Every rider trying to get a look at it for themselves. Gilbert is brilliantly poised again in that bright red jersey. Fourth wheel. I don't see Tyler Farrer getting up amongst this at the moment. Gilbert will be very happy with that 5th place position at this point on the descent. Just controlling the head of the peloton. Dan Martin is also up here. He's not making any mistakes. Today is turning out not to be a day for him to gain time, and it's all going to go down to the mountaintop finish tomorrow above Montogo, which is for sure going to decide this race before we go into the last day in the centre of Beijing. This is Graham Brown, it looks to me, in 2nd place for Belkin. Well, he's normally the lead-out man for Moreno Hofland, but I don't see Hofland just yet. Now, change of order at the front, sensing a slowing at the front. There's a big rush of riders to try and regain position when they can. 6 kilometres now is going to be just about 5.5 minutes, maybe even less at these speeds. And it looks as though Belkin have got themselves organised now, because Hofland has moved up. This is going to be a tricky sprint finish now. Ben Swift is trying to move up. The Sky team are trying to move him up. And we've also got Sasha Modolo up there as well for the Lamprey squad. So the big sprinters here are going to try and take it over for the finish. And in all of that, Philippe Gilbert would like a slice of the time bonuses, as well as we get a little bit of a sprint off the front here. And this is Team AG2R. For a moment I thought it was a better cure, but it's not. That's a big gap. Well, the most obvious to me would be Alexis Goujar. 5 kilometres just past the sign there. One rider clear. Very, very opportune, and clearly wasn't a marked man when he launched the attack. They haven't reacted to it. Maybe they think they can cope with this one, but I'll tell you, these last 5 kilometres will be just over 4.25 minutes down here. It's all basically downhill. It could well be Betacure who's gone here. Carlos Betancourt. That's the first time he's been off the back of the pack since the start of the Tour of Spain. And now he's trying to win the stage here and steal the day, but it looks to me as though he's just locking up a little bit as Betancourt slows down just a bit. Somebody was coming across, I thought, from Europcar to try and reach Carlos Betancourt. It was a brave move, I have to say. Yeah, little shake of the head saying, come on, join me, let's go. But it's all too late, because the pack has been brought up by Team Sky. Betancourt drops towards the back again. Now Team Sky trying to get it right this time for Ben Swift. Come to the front much, much later than on the day one. when they did a lot of damage, but it didn't deliver Ben Swift to the line. In fact, he was completely out of position at the finish. And that was a straight 450-meter ride to the line. This one is a dead straight 500 exactly. Belkin feel this might be the one for Moreno Hofland now. In those lime green colours. Looking for the little crouch style too of the youngster Caleb Ewan, because his teammates have got themselves up here in Orica Green Edge. And Caleb is the third rider down the back on the left of the men in white, so he's in a perfect position to try and take out his first ever World Tour stage victory on his first ever World Tour. He's only 21, he's the youngest man in the race. They continue to charge down. We must have passed, I would think, 4 kilometers. We've seen the 5, but they must be not far away. 2.5 kilometers probably from that turn. There's no more turns till we get there. Caleb Ewan tucked in behind the boys in white here. You can't see him, he's so small. But what a powerhouse when it comes to a sprint finish. A little bit of pushing and shoving going on there now as they try to make room for themselves. This is the most dangerous part of any big bunch sprint to the line. Riders trying to maneuver their sprinters into the winning positions. And there's a lot of teams got themselves organised for this finish. 2 kilometers to go. That's 1.5 to the right-hand turn, which could be the crucial turn that decides the stage. It is such a sharp bend, and then it is 0.5 kilometre to the line. But you've got to be in the first 6 or 7 to have a chance. It'll go in a straight line. Matthew Heyman driving at the front for Orica Green Edge. Sky have got their man Swift tucked in behind them in black. As Swift stays in the right positions, and it looks as though there's one rider gone. Bosenhagen takes over. He's picked up the back wheel of the smallest man in the race as well as the youngest, Caleb Ewan. Hofland's team coming up on the right. As we just hit the 1 kilometre sign, we're 0.5 kilometre from this very, very crucial right-hand bend, and they're flying towards it. I hope the brakes work, because it is a sharpie. As they hove into view now, there is a massive crowd, by the way, just assembled here. We're in the middle of absolutely nowhere. And still it's Orica Green Edge and Sky with Bosenhagen has taken up, and they're going to deliver Caleb to a perfect position. Here we go, on to the end now. Only one rider in front of him. He can't go to the front too soon. They'll see the finish now from this corner, so it's all or nothing here. As Caleb Ewan must be thinking, is this the day? Look at the kicker, Bosenhagen though. In fact, Ben Swift is having all sorts of trouble just keeping up with Bosenhagen's speed. And now it's the final lead out for Caleb Ewan. Hofland is in there. If Caleb Ewan can do this, it'll be an incredible result. He breaks for the line now. The man that got the silver medal in the under-23 World Championship. Those young legs, are they going to be beaten on the line? And yes, they are, as they come up to the line. Tyler Farrer gets the victory for Garmin Sharp and has delivered a definite lead in the points competition with that as well. That's what he wanted, Tyler Farrer, the big result on his farewell race for the team. He said all along he wants to leave on a very high note. It's his first win of the year. And a terrific sprint finish it was too. It was just not enough riders left to deliver Caleb Ewan to that last 500 metres. You needed 2 men in front of you before you left him in the full blunt of the day. But that was a terrific ride, and Steele von Hoff there amongst the first to congratulate Tyler Farrer, 30 years of age. And that's his first win since he won a stage of the Eurometropole race in October 1 year ago. And with it will come a green jersey in a few moments' time, as the new leader of this race on points. So he'll be happy enough with his day's work today, because this was a mountain stage, but they managed to hold it all together. Nathan Haas, the teammate as well. This is the lead out. Bosenhagen went so quickly, he got rid of Ben Swift completely. Ben's just coming into our picture there. And then he had to go far too soon at Calabuin, and the rest were waiting for him. Bosenhagen chasing him down there. Hofland, and then up on the outside, an incredibly quick Tyler Farrar, just taking it perfectly towards the line and getting the bonus right on the line. And it looks like Metchek, right as we look at the picture, has gone across in second place. And the tall figure of Nicholas Mace on the far left. Is he in the places? He's coming up nicely on the left there. Farrar, Metchek, Mace. That's how I would see it on the line. And Hofland, the rider, in the centre, probably in the top four. Let's have a look from this position. Tyler Farrar gets the victory with time enough to raise his arms in victory. Nearest camera is Metchek. Far side is Nicholas Mas, and in the middle there is Hofland. And that looks like it looked like Maximiliano Riccesi, who's just come across in fifth, and not Modelo on this occasion. Bosenhagen, the lead-out man for Ben Swift, looks as though he had a top 6 finish in the end in black here. Very strong finish, but he's a very good sprinter, Edvard Bosenhagen. That's why they use him as the last lead-out for Ben Swift, but Swift didn't have it. He's in the distance there in the white sunglasses and black jersey. So he really has kept his enthusiasm going right to the end of the year and delivered an excellent victory for Garmin Sharp as he says goodbye to that team this year. He wants to say goodbye to the team that's looked after him throughout the highlights of a long career. He turned pro back in 2003. And make that his 48th victory as a pro. Better phone home and tell the boss I've just won the stage. Well, there's the confirmation of the results. Farrar, Metchek, Nicholas Mas, Moreno, Hofland. It was Riccesi in 5th, the Bosen in 6th, Bosenhagen, Danny and Boy Van Poppel, the brothers, taking 7th and 8th. So family honour is redeemed, and David Apollonio 9th. Calabuin swept away, unfortunately. He got to the front just too soon, but he's learning, and he crossed the line in only 10th. Perfectly poised here, but he needed another teammate in front of him as they were delivered to the right-hander, and he was then left with no choice but to open up the sprint, which he didn't want to do because they were starting to move up behind him and still taking protection from the wind. He sensed them coming, he kicks. Bosenhagen gets his wheel, but look at the speed of Tyler Farrar. Just came from the middle of nowhere, shot over the top of them all, and kept up the momentum. This is the Tyler Farrar of old, the man who's won 3 stages of the Tour of Spain, 2 of the Tour of Italy, and 1 in the Tour de France. All 3 Grand Tours have come his way over his career. But last is always best in this case, and he's back in the winning manner. So it's a great result for Tyler Farrar, that. One of his lead-out men, Steele Van Hoff, although I don't know who let him out today. He came from so far back. All of the peloton, as always in World Cycling, gets the same time. It's only the bonuses separate the riders at the front end, so the overall stays the same today. Philippe Gilbert holds the same 5 seconds advantage over Reini Jonsson von Rensburg, 7 over Rui Costa, and 9 over Daryl Impey, so the bonuses have made no difference. Jesus Herrada keeps the best young rider jersey in 5th place there. Metchik got a small bonus, has come back up the classification into 6th now. He split Peter Seri and Sergei Chernitsky, and Cheryl and Warren Barguil. Watch out for Warren Barguil tomorrow. He's only 11 seconds off Gilbert's red jersey, and he is in good form, and he's a great climber. So he'll be looking for a big result tomorrow on the mountain finish. Of that, there is little doubt. Another view of the sprint. Trying desperately there in the green jersey on the far right was Reinhard Janse van Rensburg, and he could have changed the shape of that race if he'd have got a first place or second place bonus, being only 5 seconds off the race lead. Wasn't to be. Well, tomorrow it is the 4th stage of this race. It's back to where we started this morning in Yanqing, with the riders staying there again tonight. We continue to race in this beautiful county of Yanqing. And tomorrow it will be a ride of 157 kilometers. Starts off pretty soon after the start, about 60 kilometers after the start, first category climb, and finishes up a mountain. There's the standings in the points race, and a good day for Farah. Started out well with a win in the sprint on the road. It's giving him a 4-point advantage now over Luka Metchek. Nicholas Mace has been sprinting very well. He's in 3rd place, Hoffman in 4th, Janse van Rensburg 5th there, Calabuin in 6th. Red jersey holding 7th after his win yesterday, and Apollonio completing the top 10 in that competition. It's the King of the Mountains that will show the difference, though. Look at this now. Tosh van der Sande down to 3rd. Never scored a point today, while Mikael Golas scored all his points today, 43 of them. Karsten Kroon up into 2nd, and just a point better than Tosh van der Sande. And then the other riders in the breakaway, Luc Cuisinier and Alaphilippe, moving up into 4th and 5th in that competition. And frankly, looking at those names now and their time gap over Mikael Golas, tomorrow I think he'll just watch 1 or 2 riders and will be confirmed this time tomorrow night as winner of the King of the Mountains, because we should see the likes of Dan Martin and those riders who are in contention for final victory cross swords on the finishing climb, which will take us up the Miaofeng mountain. Down there's the car park, and let's go and listen to what they've got to say now with Tyler Farah.
Tyler, first win of the year, beautifully timed in the end.
Yeah, it was a long time coming this season. It was a year of seconds and thirds and fourths, so to finally win so close, maybe one of my last chances of the year, I'm really happy.
Pace was very high at the end, and Caleb Ewan was the first one out. He went just a fraction early, but you timed your run beautifully.
Yeah, I think I had the legs, but there was definitely some luck involved there, because it was a hard day, and I just barely made it over the last climb, and I had a real hard time getting back to the front of the race. I mean, I think I came out of that last corner really way too far back, and I just got lucky that a hole opened up and I was able to go for it.
It's pretty much the end of the run for the sprinters, other than the last day, of course, but tomorrow all the work for Dan, because the Queen's stage, and for the team it's a big day.
Oh, for sure. You know, we came here with the main objective of trying to win the overall for the Tour of Beijing, so I'd say everything's on track, and I hope he's got the legs tomorrow.
All right, well done today, first win of the year, and it's a good way to wrap it up.
Yeah, cheers, thank you.
Well done.
Yes, well, he did come from an awful long way back, and I really thought anybody coming from that far back didn't have a chance, but he had terrific speed there, Tyler Farah. And of course he's referring to Dan Martin now. He's done his job and given the team a stage win. It's now up to Dan Martin tomorrow on the mountain at the finishing line to try and deliver the race-winning result. The last day on Tuesday is place to place, same stage as a year ago, from Tiananmen Square to the Bird's Nest, which is only a short ride, and then we have a circuit down there which is totally flat, and there's going to be not much opportunity to gain any time back at all. So tomorrow is D-Day for those that want to win the 4th and final edition of the Tour of Beijing, that's for sure. Just waiting now to see with the prize presentation. Just give you a confirmation of the stage again. Metchik did himself power of good there. He still remains a realistic challenger to the points jersey of Tyler Farah now. And Nicholas Mace has ridden terrific. He's always been up in these sprints. He's in third place today. And Edouard Bosenhagen, he leaves Team Sky this year as well, and goes across to Team MTN Quebec, the African setup, which I hear has applied for a World Tour license, which would put them amongst the top teams in the world if they get approval for that. So I think we're going back down to give another interview. Now I've no idea who it is, so let's find out.
Philippe, good day, still in the lead, and big battle ahead tomorrow now.
Yes, it was not an easy day today. It was really cold also with the headwind on the last 90k. But yeah, the team controlled well, and then at the end we also get the help from some sprinter teams. And then yeah, I was not really taking risk in the final because it was very dangerous again.
The job though was to stay in the lead, and that's what you've done. And tomorrow, you know, it's an interesting day, big climb, summit finish. Do you think you can hold on to the lead after tomorrow?
I have no idea. I don't know. Some guys say this climb is hard, some guys say no. But what I saw on the graphic, it's a 12k climb, and we will see. I mean, I'm in good shape. It's not so many good climbers here, so if I lose the jersey, I can also stay in a good position and still have a point for the World Tour. So it's also important.
Goal to keep the team on the podium of the World Tour is looking good.
I think so. Behind us, it's quick step, and till now they didn't get points, so it's okay.
How motivated are you to see if you can punish yourself up the final climb tomorrow and stay in the lead?
I mean, we will see. I guess it will be attacks from everywhere, so we will see.
And finally, the conditions today are a little better than yesterday, which is good, and it looks like it's clearing up too for the final few days.
Yeah, it's looking good. Today was better. We were able to breathe like almost normally, so it was better. Yeah.
Okay. Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
Yes, Philippe Gilbert there. Well, he won the King of the Mountains in the Tour of Picardy this year, which is any consolation, but the hills of Picardy are hardly the mountains of northern China, that's for sure. We'll see how he goes tomorrow, but right now the top top five riders remain the same as at the start of the day, with Luka Mecic coming back up with his small bonus today for second place into sixth place. It'll all change tomorrow. Mecic isn't the climber, he won't be featuring there by the end of tomorrow's stage. More likely to look out for some of these riders here, maybe Simon Yates in the best young riders ranking 2, or Warren Barguil tomorrow in the mountains. Anyway, let's go back down onto the podium now, because there is Tyler Farrar.
We present Tyler Farrar as the race winner today. And we thank Mr. Qianjiadian Chao Yang Temple and also the special gifts as we present those. Mr. Chi will present the special gifts to today's stage winner.
Big relief this for Tyler Farrar, the end of a long season and no victories, but he's got one now as he waves farewell to the Garmin Sharp team, which merges with Cannondale. And so, of course, the coming together of two World Tour teams as one means a lot of riders have lost their contracts, and Tyler Farrar is one of those riders moving on.
Congratulations, Tyler. A fantastic sprint victory today. Thank you to our presenters.
Well, he's going to come back and pick up a points jersey as well for his efforts today, and clearly went out with a plan by keeping the peloton together. They raced to keep that group together till the first 17 kilometres were covered. That's where the first sprint was. Farrar won that, took 5 points, and got the lead in the green jersey on the road.
And we welcome Mr. Chang Li Chong, the town chief of Qianjiadian village of Yanqing County.
欢迎颁奖嘉宾捷库北京体育服装有限公司董事长杜卫东先生，北京市延庆县千家店镇镇长张立忠先生，欢迎。
Ladies and gentlemen, the leader of this race, after 3 stages, wearing the red jersey from BMC Racing, Philippe Gilbert.
个人总成绩第1名来自 BMC 车队的吉尔伯特。下面有请杜卫东先生为获奖车手颁
First
发
man to defend the
红
lead
色领旗衫。
in the race this week.
And we
Philippe
present him
Gilbert
for
for the second
running
day
with the
keeps
red
the red jersey.
signifying the leader of the Tour of Beijing.
下面有请张立中先生为获奖车手颁发特色
And
奖品以及吉
don't
祥
write him
物。
off tomorrow. He's not a noted climber, but he is a very strong
We
man.
present him with the special prizes. And he stands on the top step of the podium. Ladies and gentlemen, the leader of the Tour of Beijing after 3 stages from BMC Racing, Philippe Gilbert.
再次把掌声送给今天保住红衫的个人总成绩第1名来自 BMC 车队的吉尔伯特。
We'll be seeing Philippe back on the stage later on.
Now he faces up to a drive about 75, 80 kilometres directly back to Yanqing for his third night in the same hotel before they race away tomorrow to the top of the Mentogo Miaofeng mountain. First category climb of some 12 kilometres right up to the finishing line.
Director of Global Cycling Promotions and Mr. Wu Ya-mu, the General Manager of UCC.
欢迎颁奖嘉宾，全球自行车运动促进中心主任阿兰·罗菲先生以及 UCC 运动自行车总经理吴亚谋先生，欢迎。
Ladies and gentlemen, the leader of this race on points, riding for Garmin Sharp, today's stage winner, Tyler Farrar.
第3赛段冲刺王绿衫荣誉属于来自
Tyler
嘉
Farrar
明
comes
车队
out
的今天的赛段
long
冠
time
军
since he's
泰
wore
勒
the
法拉。
leader's jersey, and he's got the Sprinters
We
green.
present Tyler Farrar with the green jersey as the leader of the race on points, and as normal, we present him with the special awards.
下面有请吴亚谋先生为获奖车手颁发特色奖品以及吉祥物。
And again, we ask Tyler to stand on the top step so we can get the
He'll have to work
photographs.
pretty hard
Ladies and
to defend
gentlemen,
that
the
tomorrow.
leader
He's
of
got
the points
he won't, unless he
classification
goes
from
out
Garmin
early
Sharp,
on to try and sneak a
Tyler
couple of points from the sprint
Farrar.
series. He'll have a quiet day tomorrow, Tyler Farrar,
泰勒法
as
拉
will his nearest rival, Luka Mecic. They'll come cross their swords on the last day of this race on Tuesday, when it's always a sprinter's delight.
Today then we present the King of the Mountains jersey, the red and white jersey.
Now a new
signifying
leader in the King of the
leader
Mountains.
the race over all the climbs and scoring the most points.
下面要颁发的是爬坡积分第1名，也就是爬坡王的荣誉。
And to present the awards, we welcome to the stage Mr. Zhang Qiang, the Deputy Secretary and Deputy Director of the Yanqing Sports Bureau, and we welcome Mr. Chu Ziyu, the Manager of Qiantai Rubber.
欢迎颁奖嘉宾：北京市延庆县体育局副书记、副局长党强先生，健泰橡胶天津有限公司副总经理徐启玉先生，欢迎。
And today, the King of the Mountains jersey changes hands. We welcome now the new leader of the King of the Mountains classification, riding for Omega Pharma Quickstep from Poland, Michał Gołasz.
今天的爬坡王来自快步车队的戈瓦斯。
Miko Golash and the Eagle Farmer Quickstep throughout the year have kept their riders on the podiums in every race they've taken part in. It's been a tremendously successful year for the team from Belgium. And now it's Golash, who this year rode his first Tour de France as well and finished in 55th place. And I think more or less this is a done deal for him tomorrow. He's just got to watch the combination of the breakaway that might endanger him early on.
好的，再次把掌声送给今天的爬坡王，来自快步车队的戈瓦斯。好的，下面有请徐启玉先生为获奖车手颁发特色奖品以及吉祥物，有请。
We'll ask Michael to stand on the top step of the podium now as he gets the special awards. Here we go. And then we'll have the usual photographs. Ladies and gentlemen, the King of the Mountains after 3 stages from Omega Pharma Quickstep, Michał
Another good move by the Polish riders in this year's World Tour Series as well. Kwiatkowski winning the World Road Race Championship a couple of weeks ago in Ponferrada in Spain. And Rafael Majka winning the King of the Mountains in the Tour de France, first Polish success in that event in the King of the Mountains.
接下来要颁发的是昌河汽车感斗奖，感斗奖是颁发给今天比赛当中表现最勇猛的车手。And to present the awards, we welcome to the stage Mr. Hai Chen-wen, the Director of Beijing Sports Competitions Administration Center, and Mr. Eric Chin, the Director of SRAM Sales China.
I've heard that Julien Berard was voted the most aggressive rider of the day in that six-man break. I suspect now we're going to see Jesus Herrada come out as best young rider.
He was part of the six-rider breakaway, riding for Qianjiadian
Oh, we're going to do the most aggressive rider, and there he is in the breakaway all day. And the race referees voted him the most aggressive of the six riders up front.
And we present the plates to signify the most aggressive rider. And we also present the mascot and the gifts. Ladies and gentlemen, the most aggressive rider on today's stage, riding for the French team Qianjiadian Mondial, Julien Berard. 再一次把掌声送给今天表现最勇猛的昌河汽车感斗奖获得者，来自 AG Tour 车队的贝拉尔。 And we move on now to our final award before we bring all the riders back for our usual champagne celebration. To present now the best young rider in the race. 接下来要颁发的是最佳年轻车手，也就是新人王的荣誉。And to present the awards, we welcome Mr. Liu Hongqiu, the Associate Counsel of the Beijing Sports Bureau, and we welcome also onto the stage Mr. Hu Yongchang, the Secretary of Supervision Committee of Qianjiadian of Yanqing County. 欢迎颁奖嘉宾，北京市体育局副巡视员卢洪泽先生，北京市延庆县千家店镇纪检书记胡永强先生，欢迎。
Well, this will be for the best placed young rider born after the 1st of January 1990.
Riding for Movistar, Jesus Herrada.
Jesus Herrada, and in fact he was born in July 1990 as it happens, so he's still a very young man, 24 years of age. He's won the Best Young Rider Award this year in the Tour of Romandy, which is a race in Switzerland, and he's had 2 victories as well. Now he's set third, but tomorrow a big test for him, but he is a good climber. He could well be still in that jersey, but he will have challenges tomorrow on the final climb of the day.
I'll ask him to stand on the podium very quickly for us for the photographs. Ladies and gentlemen, the best young rider from Movistar, Jesus Herrada. 最佳年轻车手新人王白衫获得者来自移动车新车队的艾拉德，再次掌声祝贺。 Thank you very much to Jesus Herrada and the presentation. We're now going to welcome onto the stage. Our riders are going to come back. We are going to have.
Well, that's all the awards completed here on the podium. They bring them all out now, so we get one last look at them in the shadow of this ancient mountain here. And we didn't get to see the temple, which is actually off to the left of the riders as we look at the podium here. And if you ever fancy on visiting, well, be prepared for a walk of 188 steps to achieve the visit into the temple itself, but it's well worth it. Alan Rump, second from left in the black there, who is the organiser of the event here. So for cyclists, by the way, ride whenever he gets the chance. And here they all come. These are the men that go into the decisive stage of this race tomorrow, led by Philippe Gilbert, Tyler Vara in points, Michael Golash in the King of the Mountains, Berard, the most aggressive rider of the day, and in the white jersey there, Jesus Herrada of Movistar.
Best young rider in the race, Jesus Herrada. 好的，首先我们有请颁奖嘉宾为我们的获奖车手颁发香槟，女士们、先生们，让我们把最热烈的掌声送给今天获得奖项的这5名车手，让我们一起在现场跟他们一起开启香槟狂欢！来自嘉宾车队的泰勒法拉 PNG 车队、吉尔伯特快步车队戈瓦斯、AG Tour 车队贝拉尔以及移动之星车队
He does climb well, but he knows he will be challenged for that white jersey. There's some good young riders in this race who can climb tomorrow. The climbers, I think, will have the final say on the final podium on Tuesday. And Tyler Farrar knows that really he's got to wait now till Tuesday to see if he can defend that green jersey, which might move off his shoulders tomorrow, but he could get it back on the last day.
Thank you to all of you for coming here to watch today's race. We'll be starting again in Yanqing tomorrow for another day on the roads of the Tour of Beijing.
再次感谢大家今天来到2014年环北京职业公路自行车赛。
So, as we look